Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're turning back the clock, way back to 1930, to explore the very first FIFA World Cup. What if I told you the first ever World Cup had no qualification rounds? Or that some European teams only decided to participate 2 weeks before it started, embarking on a long sea voyage to get there? It sounds crazy, but that's exactly how the beautiful game's biggest tournament began. So, grab your popcorn, because we're diving into the incredible story of the 1930 World Cup in Uruguay. So why Uruguay? It was a triple celebration. In 1930, Uruguay was celebrating its centenary of independence. Plus, their national football team had won the Olympic gold in both 1924 and 1928, making them the dominant force in world football at the time. To top it all off, the Uruguayan government generously offered to pay for the travel and accommodation of all participating nations and even build a brand new stadium for the event. With an offer that good, FIFA President Jules Rimet, the man whose name would grace the trophy, championed Uruguay as the perfect host. The invitation went out, but getting teams to come, especially from Europe, was a huge challenge. The Great Depression was hitting hard, and a transatlantic sea voyage meant professional players would be away from their club duties and jobs for months. For a long time, it looked like no European team would make the trip. It took some serious diplomatic effort from Jules Rimet himself to persuade 4 nations, Belgium, France, Romania, and Yugoslavia, to hop on board. Imagine King Carol II of Romania personally selecting his national squad and negotiating with employers to ensure the players still had jobs when they returned. These 4 European teams traveled together on the famous liner, the SS Conte Verde, along with the Brazilian squad who boarded at Rio de Janeiro. The ship became a floating training camp, with teams doing exercises on the deck. They also picked up Jules Rimet and the World Cup trophy itself along the way. Meanwhile, teams from the Americas, like Argentina, Chile, Mexico, and the USA, had a much shorter journey. In total, 13 nations gathered in Montevideo, ready to make history. 7 from South America, 4 from Europe, and 2 from North America. The brand new stadium promised by Uruguay was the magnificent Estadio Centenario. Named for the centenary of independence, it was a marvel of its time, designed to hold 90,000 spectators. However, due to construction delays caused by heavy rain, it wasn't ready for the opening matches. So, the first ever World Cup games were played simultaneously on July 13th at 2 smaller grounds. France beat Mexico 4-1, with Frenchman Lucien Laurent etching his name in history by scoring the very first World Cup goal. In the other match, the USA surprised Belgium with a 3-0 victory. The 13 teams were split into 4 groups. Group 1 was the only one with 4 teams, while the others had 3. The winner of each group would advance directly to the semifinals. There were no draws to settle ties back then. It was pure knockout-style progression. In Group 1, Argentina was the dominant force. They kicked off with a tight 1-0 win against France. They then dispatched Mexico 6-3 in a wild match that featured a record 5 penalties, one of which was missed. Their final group game against Chile was a fiery affair, dubbed the Battle of Montevideo, which Argentina won 3-1 to top the group. Group 2 saw Yugoslavia emerge as a surprise package. They pulled off a fantastic 2-1 upset against the mighty Brazilians in their opening game, and then comfortably beat Bolivia 4-0 to book their place in the semifinals, becoming the darlings of the tournament. In Group 3, the hosts, Uruguay, finally got to play in their newly completed Estadio Centenario. After waiting until the 5th day of the tournament, they made their debut with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Peru. They followed it up with a resounding 4-0 win against Romania, with the powerful forward Hector Castro, who had lost a forearm in a childhood accident, scoring in both games. Uruguay topped their group without conceding a single goal. And in Group 4, the United States raised a lot of eyebrows. With a team that included several professional players of British origin, they looked formidable. They mirrored each other with 2 dominant 3-0 victories, first against Belgium and then against Paraguay. Bert Patenaude, an American forward, is now credited by FIFA as scoring the first ever World Cup hat-trick in that match against Paraguay. The USA looked like a genuine contender, so the semi-final stage was set: Argentina versus the United States, and Uruguay versus Yugoslavia. Both matches were played in the Centenario, and unfortunately for the underdogs, both ended with the same lopsided scoreline, 6-1. On July 26th, Argentina, led by their prolific striker Guillermo Stabile, demolished the USA. Stabile scored twice, taking his tournament tally to 7. The American dream was over. The very next day, it was Uruguay's turn. Despite Yugoslavia taking a surprising early lead, the Uruguayan hosts roared back. Pedrochea was the hero, scoring a brilliant hat-trick. The home crowd went wild as their team powered into the final with a dominant 6-1 victory, setting up a dream final against their fierce rivals from across the Rio de la Plata, Argentina. The final on July 30th, 1930, was more than just a football match. It was a matter of immense national pride. The atmosphere in Montevideo was electric. Thousands of Argentinians made the short trip across the river, creating a tense and passionate environment. One of the most famous stories from that day is the ball dispute. Both teams wanted to use their own ball, so the referee, John Langenus of Belgium, made a compromise. They would use the Argentine ball for the first half and the Uruguayan ball for the second. Uruguay scored first through Pablo Dorado, sending the home crowd into a frenzy, but Argentina fought back. Carlos Pucel equalized, and then Guillermo Stabile scored to give Argentina a 2-1 lead at halftime. Stabile finished as the tournament's top scorer with 8 goals. The mood in the Centenario was somber, but playing with their own, heavier ball in the second half, Uruguay mounted an incredible comeback. The great Pedrochea leveled the score before Santos Iriarte put Uruguay ahead 3-2 with a powerful long-range shot. In the final minute, the one-armed forward, Hector Castro, sealed the victory with a header, making it 4-2. The final whistle blew, and Uruguay were the first-ever FIFA World Cup champions. The celebrations in Montevideo lasted for days. Jules Rimet presented the trophy, which would later be named after him, to the Uruguayan captain, José Nazazzi. They had proven themselves to be the undisputed kings of world football. The 1930 World Cup was a resounding success. It was a tournament of firsts, full of incredible stories, and it laid the foundation for the global spectacle we all know and love today. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. It's amazing to see how far the World Cup has come from these humble, adventurous beginnings. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into football history. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the 1930 World Cup story is. Until next time, take care.